expatpreneurs building their lives and careers abroad. I'm Kimberly Vanzi from Crea Vanzi, and I'm excited to introduce someone whose path spans continents, cultures, and a complete re-innovation. Joining me today is Ruth Lara Reyes, a multilingual marketing strategist, web designer, social media expert, whose journey began with a PhD in international cooperation and has taken her across to Ecuador, Italy, Dubai, and the UK. Her story has been featured internationally, including Forbes Ecuador 2022 and Donna Mentry, highlighting her resilience and transformation as a global professional. After transitioning from academia into digital communications, Ruth built experience through volunteering and freelancing before joining a Fortune 500 company as a social media strategist in 2022 to 2025, contributing to a global content and cross-cultural communication initiatives. Today, she brings that international expertise into freelance collaborations with American and Italian businesses. Today, we're going to explore what inspired her move to Italy, how her career transformed across countries, how she helped global local businesses navigate cultural nuance through strategic design, digital marketing. Ruth, thank you very much for being here. Let's start from the beginning of your journey. You came to Italy in 2010 to pursue your PhD in international cooperation.
Yeah,
Looking back, do you feel that the moment your expatpreneur journey started or not? Give me your story of how you began.
So basically, I came to study here. First of all, thank you, Kim, for this interview and the opportunity to share with you some of my experiences. Yes, back in 2010, I came to Italy. I was granted a scholarship, and then I wanted to pursue my dream that was like going into the academia, teaching, researching, doing all those things, all those funny things. But life had different plans for me. And then is when I had to adapt myself and start looking for new opportunities. So back 2010, I did my PhD. I ended it in 2012, October, or 2013, sorry, October. But by that time, I was living already in Dubai. So basically, I met my husband in Italy, and I wasn't really sure, to be honest, to move with him. But on the other hand, another dream I had was like to find my other half, right? So there were different things in the in my life that were happening at the same time. So, well, I said, if I don't get this opportunity, I might get another job for sure, or I might be involved in the academia later, and so on. So then after I went to Dubai, was everything was new. My English was really good.
What
So
were you working on, though, exactly? Would you say you went to Italy to study the PhD and got the international cooperation, what exactly is that? Maybe explain what that is first.
yes, of course. So basically, international cooperation is about how countries support each other for development or for human rights respect and fulfillment, and is how countries collaborate. So specifically in my case, we had two different areas. One was education, so there were a lot of projects my professors used to develop in terms of education with Africa or with Latin America. So offering support in terms of so offering support to basically try to enhance the right of education. Okay.
Okay.
Another topic they also tackle was migration, and that was my topic. So I tried to analyze the dynamics of migrants in Italy and Spain. Migrants, Ecuadorian migrants. I am originally from Ecuador, and migration was a phenomenon that was happening at that time. So I wanted to analyze these dynamics and how these groups, organizations, or associations of migrants are developing projects towards the home country, so towards
Mhm.
Ecuador in that case. So how their activities in Italy, in Europe, are helping the development or their original country. So that was my research about. It's about a mix of sociology, anthropology, and
Yeah.
yeah, and political studies, basically.
And then when you moved to Dubai, you continued this or you switched over to something else?
So when I moved to Dubai, I was basically I got married in 2012, and then we moved to Dubai. I moved to Dubai, and I had to finish my thesis. So I was working on my thesis over there,
Oh,
and
okay.
also trying to find opportunities of research. So I conduct some research about migrants, especially Filipino migrants or workers. We have a very interesting topic around expat and migrants, right? So there was I put also that topic in the discussion of this research I did when I was living in Dubai. So in this case, where how migrants are rights are basically affected in those conditions where you have no right to do basically many of the things you were able to do. I am talking about 2012, where there were many cases about employers retaining the passports of these migrants so they cannot
Oh,
go
yeah.
away. They cannot really do anything. They are like slaves, modern slaves. So this is a form of modern slavery, basically. So it was about that. So during my time in Dubai, I was trying to do that, trying to get involved with academia, but it was, to be honest, very difficult. I think there were many different reasons. One of those, Ecuador is an unknown country, basically. So nobody really knows who are you. It's difficult to join a university if you don't come from a Western university or you are not from the US or the UK, for instance. So there were several, like let's say, pitfalls or block roads I had to uh, face at that time. However, my entrepreneur spirit started there, basically. So I
Yes.
started, yeah, so I started teaching Spanish. So I work with a company online, and I started teaching Spanish to Arab and French speakers. And also, I started volunteering, so giving back. So, volunteering on an English library in Dubai and trying to create a community, to be part of a community. And I feel that is very important when you are new in a new country.
Yes. I mean, you have done a lot. And then at one point you moved to the UK. What was that transition?
So, basically, in Dubai, I was 2 years.
Okay.
So, yeah, part of my entrepreneurship also, like, path was also working in trade shows, so as interpreter for Italian companies as well, or Spanish companies. So it was part of that experience. It was quite interesting to be able to help and to see how important is languages to for cross-cultural communication, right? So I liked that part of that experience. After 2 years, for family reasons, we moved to the UK. Myself was always trying to think about, okay, finally, maybe I am going to a Western country and maybe I can start looking for new opportunities in what I do. But it was really difficult, to be honest, Kim. As I
Okay,
moved
so
to the
that's what happened. You wanted to, and probably still do, to get back into the cooperation that you were doing that you studied back in 2010, was it?
Yes, I finished in 2013. Basically was a 3 year period, basically. So it was like a new world. So let's see what happens, no? And then after, as soon as I get to the UK, I need to do my documents, and I just realized that my passport should be retained for 6 months
Oh.
till I get my residence. So, as you can see, the difference from a person that comes from the south compared to an European are very, very huge differences in terms of permits and visas and so on. So at that time, I was lucky, let's say, that I got a couple of contracts in back in my country in Ecuador, and I went to teach at the university over there. So I spent 6 months in Ecuador in 2015. Was that teaching? I became a full time professor in one of the universities over there. I did there was like a process to be enrolled full time, but I just realized I was pregnant.
Oh. Was this for the Forbes Ecuador, or was this the Fortune 500? Where were you? Okay, I lost track when I was trying to research this a little on the timing of where everything was. Because you started working for a Fortune 500 company around
Yeah, that was
2015.
later. That was
Okay,
later. So that
so you
was
got
later.
pregnant, and then now what?
Exactly. I got a job in Ecuador. I am enjoying what I'm doing. I love to stay with the students, to teach, to mentor people, and to help them in their development and bring some fresh ideas from Europe, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So then I realized I was pregnant. So what can I do? Shall I give birth in Ecuador? Shall I go back to Dubai
Yeah.
and regroup with family and with my partner, right? So it was I couldn't even really decide. I had to go back, so I gave up everything once again and came back to the UK, give my passport for 6 months, become a full-time mom with no family around, no friends, nobody. So
That's tough.
start over.
It's tough to start over again, and especially when you have like developed a career that you want to pursue. That's tough.
Yeah.
And so your husband and you and then you were pregnant. So you delivered in the UK, or oh, you were in the UK and you were about ready. You were going to deliver in UK. So what was going through your mind? You're now going to have a baby. You are trying to also get yourself into your career in the one that you really wanted to go into. What's going through your mind at this point?
A lot of mixed feelings, a lot of baby blues at the beginning, a lot of when you become a mom, I think you have your focus on your baby. And I think
Yes.
that is the thing that moves you more. Okay. However, when the baby is sleeping, you would love to do something else for you, for yourself. And I had that for a long time. Um, so 2015 was that I was trying to figure out. So what can I do? But it was difficult at the same time. I can't
Mm-hmm.
get a job because I don't have documents. I need to wait at least 6 months to get my documents, and then after I need to start looking for things. However, I have my baby, so how
Mm-hmm.
can you afford or paying a private nursery while you're looking for a job? It was something I couldn't really afford. So I said, okay, let's devote my time to the baby. And we will figure out in the future. So it was around a year that I was with him, and it was a really, overall, it was a really nice experience. I started meeting new people. I love the idea of those children's centers that were in the UK at that time. Something I
Mm-hmm.
don't think so in Italy we have. Mm, Something
Explain
similar.
more about that. What are the children's centers? Are
So
they like a
basically,
daycare, or they're
no, there are places for moms with baby that go and meet there. There is some
oh, okay.
support as well. So there is some a midwife or someone is there with you that you can talk to about your problems or your doubts you have because of the with the kid, and the kids have a time together. They sing. We can have a coffee in them. So it's 1 hour, 2 hours of time a week, but it was a lot for me because it was the moment where I could stay with other moms
Mm-hmm.
and I could learn about how to raise a baby as well. So it was really interesting.
Okay. To relate it to Italy, for anybody that's living here in Italy and watching this, they
Yes.
do have ludotecas here, and that's sort of a place where moms can go meet up, chat. They don't have a midwife there that I know of, unless that has changed. Which, if it does, comment below, people. Let me know. But that is also the reason why I had created the Frenzy Moms for Moms group, was to create play groups with expat moms so that they can get together and meet up and share their
Exactly.
stories. So,
Yes.
so I'm glad you had one in the UK, and it's good that you found one. And you are probably, the same token, though, you now have this gap of the time that 2010 or 2013 when you finished your PhD, and trying, like in Dubai, that was not possible really to continue that. So what happened to this? Like, what did you put to say, I don't know if I'm ever going to get back to this, or what is going through your mind? With this, you had one career, and you're obviously multi-skilled, because now you're creating other skills that you have done
Yes.
over the past, going to Dubai and everywhere else.
Yes.
So
So basically, I was always thinking about that. I was always thinking about how can I do, what can I do. At that time, I was, let's say, lucky. I had some contacts back in my university in Ecuador. They invited me to be part of a research project about the history of mass media in Ecuador. So it was more let's say their sources were mostly online, on the archives online from libraries. So it was a really good opportunity for me to start doing something for myself, let's say. So I
okay.
started this project, I started writing, I started working on what I like. So it was a really good opportunity. I spent like 7 months doing that research. We published the findings of that, and it was a really rewarding. I at that time the baby went with a childminder. I don't think it's the nana, maybe the babysitter or something like that here in Italy. It's a childminder over there, and I was able to do something for me, right, to feel a little bit alive at that time. So it was a good opportunity to start with, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was working for another country. I wasn't really working in the UK yet. So maybe I had already my documents, but I couldn't really find and look for something that, let's say, Kim, I was looking for something where my skills can be used, right?
Right.
I could have found another job for sure, but maybe I wanted to pursue what why I studied so much, So the reason why I came to Italy, I left my family, wasn't really to find a low paid job. I wanted something better for me. It's hard
Mm-hmm.
to decide because you could take anything you want on one hand. On the other hand, you can decide. So it was hard, to be honest. With a baby, it was difficult. If I get a low pay job, I will pay everything to the babysitter, or to the
Yeah.
nurse. So you
That's a
need to
big
balance.
complication, I think,
You
in
need to
many,
balance.
with expats and any mom in general, is when you have the baby and you're home with the baby, and then you have to go back to work at some point, and it's the cost of putting a child into daycare, or putting a child, whatever you want to call it, that's wherever you live, but it's that
Mhm.
cost. You're trying to weigh it, going, why am I
Exactly.
working to pay daycare? I mean, other than to give yourself, which is something is needed, that I am something other than just a mom.
Exactly. It's hard. It's hard to wait. It's always, and to be honest, myself is always, I've been always looking for my baby. I was always looking to care for him first of all. So He was the first thing, the most important thing. No other job or things like that were important for me at that time, because it was him. It was a tiny baby. I need to look after him, and I wanted him to be raised properly, all those things. And I think that pays off. He's now 10, and I could say he's a strong boy, a clever boy. I think what he learned at the beginning, I think what I maybe the effort I put, it's paying off. He's let's say, I, I feel proud about that, to be honest. So yes, it's difficult to weigh both things, but it was like he was like 1 year old when I was doing that job,
He was
and
little.
then yeah, he was still young. And after that, I started trying to find out. So then, thing after thing, after I did the research, it was quite nice. I tried to see what can I do. I need to try. I need to start over. Maybe academia is nice. I love that, but I am not really finding some opportunities here in the UK, and I don't have the time. I cannot really devote to go pick the train, go, do the commute or things like that, because I still have the baby. So what can I do? So then I started thinking about, I like communications. My background is in communications.
Mhm.
uh, I work as a journalist back in my country, so I like to write, I like to communicate. So why don't we go towards digital communication? So then it started my idea of, okay, let's, refresh yourself from theory and from all those like heavy subjects, that I just studied during my PhD, and let's go for something more um, hands-on, something more that you can apply in everywhere, something that it
Mhm.
can be more requested for in the job market. So I started a little bit by learning. I'm always love to learn. I love continuous development, continuous improvement. So I started learning, studying. But that time I was pregnant for my second girl, so it was difficult as well. Wasn't really easy. On one hand, I say I prefer to have both close to age rather than having separate times. So it was better that. So my girl was born in 2018. By that time, I started volunteering with a couple of NGOs in the UK. So the one was a network of Eritrean women, and I support with the communication portion. So it was a nice beginning, let's say, giving back, putting my skills to the service of these, NGOs. The other
Mhm.
NGO was a local NGO that at that time supported Syrian refugees coming into
Mhm.
the town. So it was about always communication and trying to help spread the
So
word about the job of these associations, and trying to get new donors, new people that can join the initiatives.
right. So you basically took and combined your digital marketing that you started doing and your passion for helping out the immigrants. So that's where you started moving, which is great. You've managed to put everything together into this type of um, career development at this point,
Yes.
with another child on the way, or basically running around in the background.
Yes, I think with the second is easier, and
But
I think with the second child is easier. You already know things, you know how to manage things, you know how to handle. Of course, each baby is different from each other, but at the end of the day, you already know what you have to do in what moment. So it was pretty easier to start doing that. So that's why I try to devote my time to giving back, to putting also my skills, and to testing if that is something I really like to do. So And then, of course, I took more seriously that part. It was like 2019, I started doing some courses. And at that time, we just right before COVID, uh,
Yeah.
we left the UK. So, always for family reasons, I'll be always, let's say, following my husband. So, next chapter was going back to Italy, not really to his hometown, but to Florence. So for me, it was exciting moving back to Florence because I knew the language. I said it's an international city and so on and so on. You have a lot of positive expectations, but when you arrive and you're living, it's different. Maybe what you
Hmm.
expected, not what is it really is, you know? So it was interesting, especially when COVID hit. You know, we just
Yeah,
arrived.
if you're arriving and then you're arriving in COVID, I mean, when you arrive as an expat in general, which you could tell us a little bit more in depth about that, as in because you've already traveled to other different places before you arrived here, back here
Yeah,
again. But when you drive, you're kind of in what I like to say a vacation mode. And it's what I mean by that is that everything is still new, and you're like, oh, this is great. And then eventually, like a reality hits you, like the complications of the documents, the complications. That's when you start realizing this is different. This is not what I dreamed it was going to be. So
yes.
tell us a little bit about because then you
So
came during COVID. That's
that
another accident.
Yeah, it was hard. I think it was like a vacation mode. Actually, I am thinking about, especially for women, how many times we have to put in our CVs a career break for different reasons, right? And it's something that most of expat women happen, especially for women that have kids, of course, because you might need to raise the baby, you might need to take a time, you need to take a period of time, and it's not a maternity leave because you're changing countries. So it's a real career gap for me. So what meant that basically during COVID, basically changing countries, we first arrived to um, upper hotel in Novoli, and while we were looking for accommodation, for a permanent accommodation, we couldn't find. It was November, December, everything was fully booked. So we moved like in 3 months, 3 times with a toddler, with a baby, trying to find till we get the house we wanted to rent that was
Mhm.
ready on February. So
Oh,
for
it's a long
me,
time.
that period was terrible. I have to say that, Kim. It was terrible. It was frustrating. It was sad. It was lonely. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have a place where I can settle and put the toys of my kids in the floor and, say, okay, let's leave them there, because it was impossible.
What was the reason? I hear this story a lot, actually. Like, especially even more with the Airbnbs popping up all over the place. Um, what was the reasoning? It wasn't the COVID that was restricting
No,
apartments.
it was right before COVID. So COVID hit in March. We started
Hmm.
talking about it in December. We arrived here in November, and we have the apartment given by the company. My husband's company was like for a month or 6 weeks or something like that. Then after we need to find accommodations, but we couldn't find something for the dates for all the period of time that we needed till February. So there were
Hmm.
some that give you like a month. You can't have more than a month. So it was very difficult to find things. At the same time, looking for schools, looking for a preschool, looking for a
And
nursery.
you need the residency to kind of figure out where you want to go for the school.
Exactly. Or you go to a private one. So in our case, it was like that. We try to find a place looking at the map. You don't have any other resource, even though I speak Italian, my husband is Italian, but we're in a new city. So you
Hmm.
still need to figure out how you're going to do things, where you want to live, where do you want to live, that is not far from the job, from his work office, and that is okay for in terms of schools and things like that. Very difficult situation. I remember I look on Facebook for the group, moms for moms group, and I still remember I sent some uh, questions and asking for some opinions on the where to live and things and what to do and pediatricians and so on. So it was a period of time where I had to do that. We settled finally in our house in February. My staff from the UK arrived on the, if I'm not wrong, 16 or 26 of February, and COVID, the lockdown was on like 2 weeks later.
You lucked out.
Yes. So imagine, how was it? I was alone with the two kids.
And
The
locked
one,
into a house that you finally got into.
yes, the one was on the school, but we need to take him out because of COVID. And we spent like the full year, me as a mom, as a full-time mom with the kids. I enjoyed, to be honest. It was a nice time to stay together. I tried to put in practice what I learned from the UK. I love how the early education in the UK is. It's more about, they do have a more Montessori approach compared to Italy. So they children are able to explore even outdoors and things like that. So it was really interesting. 2019, I started a couple of projects too. I started doing a couple of very user-friendly, very drag-and-drop web designs for a couple of friends that are also entrepreneurs in the UK. And I try to continue with my digital marketing path. 2020, I obtained my certification in digital marketing from the Digital Marketing Institute. It was like a 6 month course, a formal course. And then after, I was able to apply for a free course on web and digital marketing for job seekers in Italy. So a free 1 month course. It was a luck, I could say. I was lucky because during COVID they were online. So it was full time online. It was a really good opportunity for me to learn. And after that, I continue working as a consultant. I started working as a consultant for a small business here in Italy, working with dental practices. And
How
COVID
did
is
you get
over.
into dental practices? That is like
Word of mouth came.
okay.
Word of mouth. I think most of the things work here with by mouth, word of mouth. So you
Yes.
know that. And however, I said I want to put myself a goal, and I want to find a proper job. The kids, COVID is over. Basically, the kids are in school all the time till 4:30. So I start looking, and then I was lucky, let's say, to find this opportunity with a 500 Fortune company, which is a US company that has acquired different small businesses here in Italy. And they were
Okay.
looking for a social media specialist. So that was my jump, let's say, into the corporate life. And I am currently working with them, serving as a social media strategist and also a digital marketing strategist. This year has been for me like my first year of really real entrepreneurship, because it was about opening a partita IVA, dealing with all those, tax related issues and so on. And it's a really nice, let's say, challenge. I think it's rewarding, as you can also deal with your kids' time. You can manage your times, which is not possible when you're working full time for a company.
We were talking about the Fortune 500 and how you
Yes,
started and how you were um uh that it was a great opportunity because you could take off, like, if your child was sick, not kid,
yes.
if your child was sick. Okay, so we can go from there, and I could probably maybe
Yes, so I worked with them for 3 years. Basically, they restructured the company a bit, and then I basically left the European portion, and I stayed as a consultant with the American portion. I officially opened the Partita IVA and started to learn more about the tax system here in Italy, which was quite, difficult to understand for expats. And still, I don't really understand how does it really works, but I try to do my best on that. But on the other hand, what I feel about being an entrepreneur are different things. You go out of your comfort zone, first thing.
Hmm.
Second thing, you are always trying to find new ways to get new clients or to create some networks or to try to be involved on different, let's say, initiatives that can help you to support. That you are also a person that is trying to serve others, and is it has to be seen as that, an entrepreneur, not really someone who's looking for clients, but someone who's looking to support another person because you have the skills to do that, right?
Right.
So there are different things that makes you different, and I think one of the most important things for me this year is being having the time to devote to my children. Yes.
So we can touch on the basis because that's kind of one of the things I talk about at times is the freelancer mindset and the entrepreneur. And kind of like in Dubai, you probably had more of the freelancer mindset, or you correct me if I'm wrong,
Mm-hmm.
where you were doing the translations or I mean, you probably had more control, I think, than normally a person who is here doing translations and doing interpretations or copywriting. A lot of times they fall into that freelancer mindset, as I call it. It's still, as a freelancer, you are your own business. You take all the risk when
Yes.
you are signing up to be a freelancer.
Yeah.
But there's a mindset that is different. There's the set of that person controls what I'm worth. So they say like you'll get an email that says, oh, I want to hire you to do a translation, but I'm only going to charge you this amount, or I want you to interpret, or I want you to do the copywriting for me, but I'm going to charge you, instead of the other way around, where an entrepreneur, I mean an entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
sets the value and the rate and says, no, this is my value, this is what I
Yes.
do, I have the skill sets, I trained for it. Tell us a little bit about that, if you can.
Yeah, it's something, I think at the beginning it's something really difficult because at the beginning you're eager for getting new clients and you're happy with what they want to pay to you, right? But
Right.
that is one of the big mistakes we have at the beginning. And because on one hand you might be charging a little bit less because you want to have this client, but on the other hand you might be regretting because you said I should have charged more because I devoted more time and the work is perfect and so on. So it's good to start from like a high, let's say, uh, put your expectations higher. First of all, see that you have the value to do that. I think it's important to do some research behind. You do some research behind. You can find, especially in Italy, on the digital marketing services, you can find different rates that
Oh yeah.
vary a lot.
I think it's everywhere, the digital marketing.
It's terrible, but you're an entrepreneur, you're alone, you are not an agency. So you're not going to put the price of an agency, but you're not going to put the price of started a junior that maybe took a course online in 2 months course or Coursera course and things like that. No, because you have worked for something, you have experience, and you know that you can build that. And what maybe sets apart an entrepreneur is that you have this mindset that you said, you can do it. You can do it. I can do it. You figure out how you're gonna do. You don't, no
You
matter
get
how.
over that imposter syndrome, or do you still get some imposter syndrome? That's called, they call that the imposter syndrome, where and it's something that I think is that crossing point between freelancer and expat, I mean an entrepreneur, is that mindset of, yes, I do have the value and I do know what I'm doing. And because you get this feeling, because you see everybody's rates are so low and they're getting jobs, but are they really getting jobs and clients that are worth their value? Probably not. So,
Yeah, I think that, yeah, I felt that. I always had that, to be honest, Kim, even when I was a student, because I always tried to be perfectionist,
mm,
to tell you an anecdote, when I was in the university, I was the best graduate of the year. And I was offered a job as a teacher at the university, but I just graduated. At that time in my country, we didn't need to have any master's degree, any PhD, anything. And I said no, because I don't feel qualified for this. I
Mm.
can't be your teacher. I am just 22. But they want me to be a teacher because I was a good student. I performed very well during my 6 years of studies and so on. But it was part of of this syndrome. I could have go, okay, go, you can do it, but I wasn't. And I always had this, let's say, perception that is never ending because you never end to learn new things. But that has to stop at a point, especially when you become an entrepreneur and you need to show your face and you need to show who you are, and you need to break that barrier of talking to a new client, and you need to create your pitch to present yourself and say who you are. So there are very tiny steps. If you don't have this it's also about mindset, about salespeople are are trained, or some of them have this capacity to sell. If you don't have that, you need to learn too.
Yeah, you have to
And
learn
this
it
is
and
part
work on
of
it.
the entrepreneur path
It's
that I
probably the biggest fear for a lot of entrepreneurs is that selling. How do I sell myself? I'm so used to devaluing myself. How do I sell myself?
so you are good on something, you're good, but you don't know how to sell. And it's something I am doing right now with a client. I am trying to support her. I know her story, but nobody knows her story, and she moved to another city, so
Mm.
she is trying to get new clients, but she's trying to sell as the simple English teacher, let's say. But say, you have a lot of value. Come on, you speak four languages, you do cross-cultural
Whoa.
communication. You are not an English teacher. So you see the difference.
Yeah.
And it's something that, as part of my skills, I've learned how to do that. I am learning how to do that. It's difficult to put in practice yourself, maybe. For me, it's easier to advise people on that.
Yeah. I think as everybody in like the digital marketing, website design, we can always see in the strategy, you can always see the strategy for somebody else, but then when you have to turn it on yourself, you're like, wait, I know I'm missing something here.
Yes, because it's as somebody says, you can be a surgeon of yourself. If you
Yep.
need a surgery, someone else have to do that for you, and sometimes happens, and it's very often, especially for our type of jobs that are more creative, that you want to have the perfect post or the perfect thing. You can do that for others, but you can't do it for yourself. So it's part of of getting out of the comfort zone. And on the other hand, I think is about, okay, let's do it. Let's do it now with mistakes, but let's do it. So I think it's you need to balance. You need to do it good, well, clean, almost perfect, but you need to do it. So then you will know if that worked or not. But if you didn't do it, you will never know if that worked or
Yeah,
not.
you have to face your fears.
Yes,
That's true. And you've
yes,
had to do it a couple times, going from one different country to another. But you've got a lot of experience from going from one country to another, and
yes.
just in general, a life journey.
Yes, it's been like that, and it's still facing new things. You see, as still facing new behaviors, trying to understand also the Italian mentality and how you will frame your services towards to get a new opportunities, new business
Hmm.
opportunities. So it's a lot of also framing. How do you want to approach it? Even though I do speak Italian perfectly, let's say, and I do mm, know the Italian culture. On the other hand, there is still something that I still need to know to reach the clients I want to know. I still need to learn how are
Mhm.
their behaviors, what they are looking for, how are their pain points. So there is a lot behind before you build your personal brand, for instance, or your entrepreneurship path or whatever it is. But you still need to learn more to be sure that you are targeting the right people and you have the right solution for them.
You always have to keep learning, because if things change, and things are always changing. And if you're in digital marketing and social media marketing and everything, even that changes within like a couple months. um, so I'm going to bring up AI at this point, because why not? But AI has been hitting all over the place. And what do you think of it? And how do you think it has impacted or not impacted your digital marketing career?
Yeah, I think it has made a positive impact as it helps you to speed up tasks. Okay. However, if you are not ready to tackle AI properly, you might end up doing something wrong because AI is a support, is at your disposal to help you, but you are the one who will give the instructions. So if you don't know that, it's going to be very difficult to get good results. So
Right. You have to have the correct prompt to.
you need to do, I think prompt engineering is something that we all need to learn at the point if you we don't want to lose our opportunities of work or business, whatever it is, because it's the way you teach and you train this AI to support you in your daily basis. I am just starting with um, Gemini, and I
Mhm.
created my own gem for having a tailored prompt of who I am and what I am doing, how I'm supporting people, and I can see the difference between the standard Gemini platform chat compared to the gem is completely different. So the output is better, and you can see a lot of beneficial opportunities for you and your business.
Mhm.
However, I still feel that in the world of digital marketing and social media, authenticity is key, because new generations, more people is looking for authenticity. Even the concept of nostalgia.
Well, AI is great as a tool, and it should never completely replace a human, even though that's what they're trying to do in some places. But the thing is you also have to keep in track with AI is that AI is not 100% correct. Still not 100% correct. So it's great as a tool, but you still have to be on it. So like some people will take and create a whole website with AI, or some people take and translate a whole website with AI, and not realize that there's an error obviously in it, because they're not able to um, they're not using other resources. They think, okay, well, I could do everything with AI. You know? And that to me is not a good maneuver for a business. Um, what do you think of that? Like, have you even handled somebody who has said to you, I created this thing with AI. Can you
Yeah,
correct it for me?
I can even identify when a text or a post is written with AI. The dashes, for instance, are pretty common.
It's
And
becoming common, though, I think, in language in general with writing, because so many
uh,
people.
for instance, sometimes I write posts with the help of AI and I ask them to translate, for instance. If they translate into Spanish, I wouldn't use that text if I'm not reviewing first of all, because it's not accurate. So sometimes you can't really express what you want to express with the words AI take because they think they are accurate or they match, but if a word has a meaning, you
Right.
need to use the other word. And that happens with blogs, that happens with posts, with all content marketing you do. If you don't have a human eye behind, it's going to be very difficult to, to stand out. And the other thing is when you have AI quoting you, because AI is becoming more like a browser, a search engine. So then you need to write for AI tools, for AI
Yep.
That's right. And
You're-
once again, I feel, I envision is the same, because you always, the inputs will always come from people. You know, if you're looking for a doctor in Florence, you are always going to type doctor in Florence. So regardless, you know, the output that comes from AI or from a search engine.
Right. Do you feel that that's getting lost though? That I feel like they're losing. At one point, it was like UX design. Oh, we're going to design for the user, and I feel over the past year that that has disappeared.
I think it's a very interesting topic, user experience, because I've seen, even with my clients, I've seen landing pages like terribly created, you know, with no principles, with no basics, with nothing, just a page with text. What is the goal of having that, you know? It's not even ethical for a professional to present a product like that to a client, to be honest. The thing is that most of the people around don't really know about marketing. You know, they know
Mm.
social media, they know marketing, they don't believe a lot of marketing, they believe more in other types of, you know, selling products like word of mouth, more traditional. But on the other hand, they need this, you know, and when this comes up, they don't really know, they are not really well uh, digitally instructed, you know, to see, but they can see the difference between a well presented landing page and a bad presented landing page. And it's a lot about of user experience. How do you present your product to the rest?
Explain what a landing page is, because I don't think a lot of people actually know what a landing page is.
Basically, a landing page is a one single page that can run inside your website. Is the best way to have. If you have a website, it has to be built inside your website, and it has one specific goal. So it has a one specific call to action. For instance, you are promoting a new service and you want to have new people signing up for this new service, or you want to be in the waiting list for this new service. You sign up, you put your details inside, and you will get an email when this offer or this service is available. Or if you want to book an appointment, you have a one landing page, for instance, with a promo code. And with this promo code, through this landing page, you can get the benefit, not elsewhere. So it has a very specific goal.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a very a winning solution, especially for digital business, and not only because it can help you to craft campaigns on a way that can be measured as well. So you can know how many people register to this webinar because they registered through this landing page. So it's very easy to measure as well. And
Right.
most of all, is important because it has all the information you need to share packed in one specific, in one landing page, in one page basically of a website, basically. And you don't need to click around to find information because you must have everything packed on there.
Right. So basically what that is that so when someone's posting to Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or any other social media platform, or even in a blog article, you have this link that goes to this page directly. That way the client goes directly to the page and can get to what they need to get to. So if you're like when you're advertising something, you're advertising that product or that course, like she's saying, or something else in that category. They go there, and that is what that page does. So they don't land on your home page. A long time ago, it used to be land on the home page. Now we have these things called landing pages, and that's one thing that you do. You create landing pages for people.
Yes, I work mostly on the content for the landing pages. I try to apply on a landing page. Is really important to apply neuromarketing tactics. So you need to be very aggressive with what you want to reach, and the way you present the information will ensure that a person will take the action we want to. So through this we will ensure that they will click on the link, put their details, and get something. You know, but if you don't have that well presented and you don't get this, you don't use this bias, the cognitive bias, it's going to be very difficult for that. Sometimes we have like 2-3 seconds to make a decision, and most of our purchasing decisions are based on emotions. So with a landing page, with a well presented landing page, you have a lot of opportunities to have this person signing up or purchasing some from you.
Yes, it's extremely important, and something that I think is lost also nowadays. They're getting there. It's something that's new too, like I said, because before it used to be give them the homepage. There are still some clients that feel the homepage is a business card and that's how it should be, but landing pages are definitely where it's going. So for the digital marketing, we've gone through this is pretty much what you're doing now. Are you looking into doing more with also the community base?
I mean, local marketing.
Like for like nonprofits, or like back on the career that you had started a long time ago?
I mean, it's a bit different. I would say that the nonprofit, let's say, landscape here compared to the UK. I feel I haven't really dig a lot, but if I am almost forgetting that when just I arrived to to Italy basically, and just right before COVID, the kids started going to school. I joined an association, and I started doing social media for them actually. I mean, it was a nice opportunity. Back at that time, I was based in Florence. Now I am in Chianti, so it's a small town. So it's a bit more difficult to get to know people in with this sort of realities like associations and organizations. In a small town, it's more difficult to find these opportunities. But I would start looking for that, but I haven't really found something here, to be honest. So that's why I am more. I am. In any cases, I am contracting. I'm working, so it's not. I don't have the time as I used to have before to do those things, right? But I think I always giving back. For me, it's been really important, and I think that's why the reason. That's is the reason why I studied international cooperation, because it's a way, is the different ways you from a high level government, to the grassroots, you can support others.
I want to bring up, because you're in the small town, that is different than living in the city. Explain a little bit about that.
Interesting question. Let's say Florence overall is a small city. Overall, it's not a big city compared to the US or compared to London, compared to Dubai. It's a very small city. It has its charm. It's a beautiful city that you enjoy strolling around, mostly as a tourist. Maybe if you live there, I lived there for 2 years basically before moving into Chianti, and I didn't really enjoy going to the city center at that time. I hate the traffic. I hate the traffic
And the
and
tourism.
tourism, over tourism and traffic. So living there was a bit chaotic. Of course, the means of transportation are more are more, so you have more options to move. That is something that you need to gauge when you are trying to settle somewhere else in a town, let's say. But when I moved here, when I visit this town for the first time, I really like it. I felt that it was lively, it was nice. They have schools, and they have everything you might need to live with young children as a family that just want to have like some of time available to manage things. So from that point of view, it's really useful. I have time to do all the school runs, to take them to the sports, to do all those things, to take them to the doctor. While when I was in Florence, it was impossible to go by walking. And if you went by car, it took 20 minutes to reach in less than 1 kilometer far, because of the traffic. So there are differences. In terms of the quality of life, I always think myself, I love the view I have in front of my house, to be honest, and the Chianti Hills, and this is something that I really appreciate, and it's something that that always that I see the sunset, for instance, is sometimes it fuels me with energy, to be
Hmm.
honest. So there are differences. If you want to have a peaceful life, I think going to the countryside is something you won't regret. But if you are trying to if you're a student that you have a different life and you are trying to meet new people and things like that, definitely living in a city is better.
And the city out in the country basically is where you are, is out in the Chianti area. What about the locals? How do they treat you being a foreigner?
So compared to my period in Florence, I feel the people from the town, this small town, is more friendly, I would say, compared to the people, the Florentine people. It's being a pity to be not able to meet new people or to meet very few people. I think COVID has a big, portion on that because of everybody was wearing masks, so it was impossible to create moments of exchange with people, especially with parents, because when you are new in a new country, is your children are the one that connect you, because if they make some new friendships, we consequently adapt to them and
Hmm.
go with other people. You can hang out with other people and so in this town, I found myself like people more, let's say, more local, more traditional. They don't live the over tourism, so their behavior is more authentic, I would say.
Hmm.
um, what I sometimes I found is they are used to see tourists, but maybe they are not used to see a foreigner living around, right? So for them, it's difficult to pronounce my name. They don't understand what is my surname and things like that. So it's a matter of educating them. It's something I always discuss with my husband about. If you're in London, nobody cares where you are from, and nobody's like looking at you and, where are you from, and things like that. Is the normality. But here we are still in a country where foreign people is still new, is seen as a different. So embracing the diversity is something that is not really happening yet, unfortunately. uh, and sometimes migration is seen as something negative too. And of course there are situations in which people from other countries are damaging cities, are kicking people or doing things that are not good.
Yeah.
So it creates a stigma about that. uh, I feel they could be more open. They should be more open because they do own small businesses here too. If we think about a business perspective, it would be better if they open themselves and sell better themselves, right? We have plenty of cantina or plenty of olive oil farms and things like that. So there are plenty of opportunities, and I think something that is missing from them is being more open, also with a communication style, because that would help them to boost their business overall.
I think that's one of, and including with me, that is one of the challenging aspects, I think, as far as the business aspect and getting small companies and businesses here that have so much potential to realize. And the way I'm going to put it, I don't know, but to realize, like, you don't hand giving your webs to create your website to your high schooler, like, oh, but he was practicing and he wanted to create my website, so I just gave it to him to do. It's kind of like, but you have a
Yes,
business. So, or they'll give it to their uncle, or it's like, always, it is always word of mouth, like who they know and who they kind of trust, and getting that trust is really complicated, and you have to live here for quite a long time, I think, to get that trust. um it's and even so, it's really, I think that's where a lot of issues for foreigners that are living here that are trying to at least with like design and creativity is to get that trust with the locals that are living here.
Mhm.
I don't know if like maybe Milan or Rome, maybe you have a little bit more interaction. Florence, you have some, but Florence is still quite close, like as you were saying. But in the small towns, I have heard that that's even harder. That's why I was asking you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from a, let's say, I wouldn't say I had any bad experience with them. They are fine. I would say people, I think in Florence might be more snob or something like that. They are very proud of themselves. Sorry for saying that. It's what I feel, is my personal opinion. In a town, I felt more, you know,
They're
easy,
friendlier, I
easygoing,
think.
easygoing, more than friendly. I would say easygoing. So people that are more authentic would say, I would say.
Mhm.
So I could find that difference. I live in northern Italy too, and where I studied was in Bergamo, close to Milan.
Okay.
So it's a very northern town, a city with 100,000 inhabitants, basically, and the people is closer, actually. If they don't know you, they won't open to you, but when they know you, they will. So it's quite common. What I have found myself is like with people from Sicily living here, it's more easy to talk. It's very easy to talk with them and to interact and to make conversations, while if you are with a person from here, it's going to be more difficult. But it depends, it's a two ways communication always.
Mhm.
So you can be open and try to get new friends, but if the other person is not responding the same way you are expecting, it's difficult to create something. So yeah, so I think it should be to change, and that's why I am talking about um, how do they embrace diversity, right? Not
Mhm.
always like that. If I have to make a comparison with England, they are very polite people, very polite, but they are not really always giving being your friends. They are being just polite.
They're proper.
Yeah, so it's how it is.
Yep. Now, okay, so you've had a long journey, but with many different career changes and challenges. What would you say was your biggest challenge if you look back at your career and you look back at your journey?
The biggest challenge.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge, I think, finding a job over the years, over the time, over the countries, and so on. I've been always struggling for looking for new things because, eh, of my situation. I was the new arrival. I was doing in the meantime, I've been doing so different things. So it's like trying to adapt to the new environment, trying to adapt, be resilient, be flexible, figure out, never give up, all those things. So those are the challenges, especially when it's related to finding a new job, to settling a new country. So those are the challenges: settling, finding new opportunities, connecting with people. It's difficult. It's difficult if you are new and then you came from a different background and you need to adapt. It's not something that happens from one day to another. It's something that takes time. So yeah, I think it's challenging. It's been rewarding overall, right?
Well, go into the rewards. What was the biggest reward that would you say from all that?
I think the biggest reward is being able to have my kids speaking three languages, and being able to share with them the different nuances from different cultures, even though they are here. Being able to tell them stories about, distant countries, even being able to travel with them and to visit my country, for instance, and to show them the difference between a poor country and a rich country, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
all the inequalities that are around. So making them conscious about that, I think that is rewarding for me. Apart from, of course, navigating and, let's say, succeeding in each stage of my life in a way. But I think the biggest reward has been being able to show them the world. So, and having them, raising them open-minded, you
Hmm.
know, so that is important for me.
What would you say to expats considering a career change or starting a business abroad? And I'm going to say abroad because it doesn't have to be just Italy.
Yes.
What would be the biggest advice you would give them?
If they have their passion to do that, do it. Or if it's going to take time, it will, but never give up. And something that I think is important is being resilient, and especially if you did the biggest step already, if you move from your town, from your hometown, far from family, so the next should be easier. So I think
That's
if you embrace already that, you can do it whatever you think. And it's about mindset, to be honest. So build this mindset, build this, because it's not something that you get from one day to another. It's something that will take time. Not everybody's different.
hmm
I For me took a lot of time to say this. But I feel if you want to do that, go for it, live your dream. I left my country so many years ago to study, but it was another challenge for me. So at the end of the day, when you pursue something, is because you have this in, maybe you feel in your heart, and then you need to go for it.
that's great advice. I want to know whether or not you have any career changes or moves coming up in the next year, or are you finally settled in a little?
Good question. Good question. My husband works remotely, so it can be really easy to change. But for now, for now, I feel that with the kids at school, they are well settled in the school. So I think you need to give some peace of mind to them too. We might think about that in a couple of years, maybe when the big one, the oldest one, finishes middle school. So, but you still have 3 years. But for
Yes.
now, I think, as I mentioned before, living in Chianti is really nice. If you want a pacific, peaceful life, it's really nice, and you're surrounded by a very nice landscape. So, it has its rewards living in the countryside and be able to connect with people like over the computer. So
That's the great thing about computers.
not too bad, not too bad.
Okay. Well, this has been a wonderful interview and a very long one, which is good. Thank you for participating and giving us your story. And it's been amazing what you've done. Anything else you would like to add at all to before the closer?
I just want to thank you, Kim, because you are also an entrepreneur and you have also, I think, faced similar situations like me. So I want to thank you, and I am always here to support on this exciting journey.
Thank you.